Welcome to the coaching call tonight, guys. We're on a roll here. We've been rocking kind of every week here for the last several weeks. I don't normally we go every other week, but it's just kind of been on a flow of some things. And I alluded like a month or so, actually, it's probably been close to 2 months already, that I wanted to start even just including some roundtable talk in some of this stuff because I always joke around with Amy about stuff. I'm like, I don't want to always be the guy bringing things. And I know that's part of it. That's why you guys are here. I mean, is to hear, as part of the group too, is to hear teaching, to be learning stuff. But I also know within that so many of you have wisdom and have knowledge and have experience as well that helps serve everybody else. And so I kind of alluded to that a couple months ago, how I wanted to start doing some roundtables and throwing some of this stuff in so it can continue to be interactive. One of the big things that I just personally believe is that in our just world, in our society of how we view things so often is we always view things as like this hierarchical or hierarchy system. We always think of like, a leader being up top, and then we think of it as like this stairwell down, right? Because that's obviously how like corporate world is set up. That's how everything is. But I have such a different viewpoint and belief on some of this where I often think it's more of a circle and there's no necessarily head of the table how we've traditionally thought it. Now, that doesn't mean somebody isn't, bringing people together like this or being a catalyst to things. But I believe when we start viewing it slightly different as a round table, that you start feeling differently about what you bring to the table. And I feel like that then you start realizing like, oh, okay, like I'm not lesser than. And that's very important to me to even just share with you guys. And I don't know if I've ever expressed that quite in that way. And so I really wanted to express that tonight and really kind of kick off this style that I want to do with you guys more often, because that is just a big personal belief that I have of things is that everybody's voice is very important and that everybody's experience is very important, because we all live in different times in our life too, where our perspectives are different. Our experience of where we're at in our life are different. And so we all bring sometimes this different viewpoint. If you think about the word viewpoint, like if we just throw around words, I'm big on language though, you know it is like just flip that around. Think your point of view. Where in your life are you viewing something from? And as you continue to grow and change, right, your point of view changes. I From a hunter, being an outdoorsman and hunter, I think about that oftentimes where I'm up on a hill glassing and I want to change locations to get a different look into a canyon and glass in. I need a different point of view. And oftentimes that's why you even hire a coach. Or that's why you get in the right group of men or women or both, where you're like, I need a different viewpoint. I need somebody looking at this for me to help see what I can't currently see. And so that's very important. So I want to continue to expand on that. And so tonight, I really want to get some viewpoints, some experience, some things that have helped serve you guys in your own personal life, some even stories that you've had that you can share. And we can use that as some conversation starters. We can expand on that and continue just to grow together in that way. So that's kind of the plan for tonight. We'll just kind of take it how it goes. If it lasts 15, 20 minutes, great. If it lasts 35 minutes, great. If you have to leave early, totally fine. We're recording. So feel free to, if you have to jet early, if it ends up going long, that's okay. But let's get it kind of started. Levi, if you wouldn't mind, I know Levi's been working with me. Man, we're going on close to 6 months now. I can't quite remember. He worked with me way back in the past, like
Eight.
in my early days when I was sending out Excel sheets for the workouts. We
Yeah,
didn't even have an app. And so it's that change is pretty crazy. Um, and so Levi, if you have anything to share of your experience, man, or things that has helped you, I'd love to hear it, man.
yeah, it's been I think that was back in 2018. I don't even remember
I think it was
honestly.
even before that.
Before that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot different, that's for sure, and a lot better. I'll say that. Nothing against you, but
I agree.
technology's definitely helped. Uh, yeah, I think my journey's been kind of weird with me. Just long story short, I think right after I quit, kind of always been kind of a pretty fit person. Then always loved fitness and everything. Then my mom passed away when I was 26 years old. Then 10 days later, my second born daughter was born. So I dealt with that pretty tough. I held a lot of that in. I got off my fitness journey and I resorted to basically drinking a lot. And this past year, I don't know what it was. I have Jordan on Facebook. I can't remember what Facebook video he had on there, but it hit me really, really hard. I think it was something to do about being a man and stuff like that. And I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and
Mm.
I basically said to myself, I'm the way I'm going now, I'm no man. And I decided, I know it was Labor Day when I had talked to Jordan, and my life is back on track again. I can't be happier.
Awesome,
I
man.
mean, it's crazy when you start choosing yourself for health and fitness, that along with that, it helps with other things, including your family, how much better of a person you are by just choosing yourself with health and fitness.
It's wild, man. What do you think was that big? Like, obviously, you saw the video. You know,
Yeah.
look at
And I
yourself.
think I even sat on that video for about 2 months before I had the nerve to message you again too. And it was just replaying through my mind week after week. And every night I'd lay in my bed after drinking in my garage all night. I would always say, why can't I quit? Why can't I quit? And
Dang.
for some reason, when I had that call with you on Labor Day, I was done with it. I
Yeah,
don't know what happened. And a lot of it, I think of it as, that was kind of the Lord working in me too, and
absolutely.
and yeah, like I said, it was that video that just changed it, and I knew I needed to get back in, and no regrets, and I hope I can just keep living my life this way.
Absolutely. Man, what really stood out to me though in that was we're actually, I think this is the most important piece for guys, for everybody in here. You sat on it for 2 months, and that is proof in the thing of sometimes stuff takes time. Like when stuff in our life starts to integrate into our life, it takes time for everything to just get to where it needs to be. Like you had already probably at that time, you said you looked in the mirror, you had already made the decision that there was going to be some change that was going to happen. So like to give ourselves a visual of things, like there was already a line in the sand and you had stepped over it. You know, it was enough of stimulation, a trigger for you that you had stepped over it, but there's still some internal work that had to take place in order for you to take action on it. And
Yep.
so like even just all of us in our journeys of going after our goals or anything, there's that piece of integration in our life where it's just, yeah, you've stepped over the line, you've started things, you're doing things, but sometimes it takes time for everything else to continue to permeate and for that seed to germinate and grow and shoot off. And so, man, that's awesome. I absolutely love that. I appreciate you sharing that. Anything else
I'll
that,
touch on one other thing too. That
yeah,
I had owned my own business too, and I'll be honest, I made pretty good money doing it. But you know what? I wasn't happy. I was
mhm,
not happy at all. I stepped away from it, and I'm doing a lot lower paying job right now. But you know what? I'm so much happier than
go.
I know you need money to live, but your happiness is also a big priority too, especially in your health and everything. And I wouldn't, I wouldn't, I would not, I don't regret leaving my business at
Yeah.
all.
Well, and here's the thing, it's like when you actually go from the higher tier to a different tier, we hear people all the time at maybe a higher tier saying things about health and fitness and money, but when you hear it from I've had it and I've gone the opposite way, it's proof, when you feel that internal shift, like what's worth more.
Yeah.
That's outstanding, man. I love that. I appreciate you sharing that and getting vulnerable on some stuff, dude. Some of that stuff's not always the easiest stuff to share. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. Dude, Alan, I know you had mentioned to me, right? As we were jumping on the call here, I kind of asked you if you had some stuff. Do you want to jump on and maybe share a few things too? Alan, you guys actually he worked with me way back in the day as well. It was
Yep.
right when I got my app, I think actually, Alan, and then you,
Yep.
yeah. Tell you, I'll shut up. You tell.
And that went good, and then kind of got off track again, and went for a doctor's checkup, and yeah, blood sugar, all that stuff again, how that all goes. And then I started really changing, just diet, everything. Like I got to do something, and that all went good, but I was just stuck. Like I didn't know where to go with the strength part of it, and how to just keep going. That I lost the weight and I'm keeping it off, but as far as yeah, I can do so much more, but I want the strength to come back with the weight that I lost. Because yeah, I lost a lot of muscle too with all that, because I lost, well, over 100 pounds,
Yeah.
you know, and it was, yeah, I had to do it. And I started in January with you again, and it's just been incredible these 4 months. I mean, the strength's coming back, and which I never thought I'd, if you would have known me 20 years ago and how I lived life and stuff. And now I mean, I just live for running, lifting, got into cycling.
Mm.
And like with the cycling too, I can remember 2 years ago when I bought my first bike, I rode a mile and I pushed it back because I'm like, I can't do this. I only went a mile. And I'm like, what the
Yeah.
crap? But, and I think a lot of people if you're doing it just to lose weight or gain strength or anything, you can't worry about what other people are thinking of you doing it. Because I've had people make fun of me. Well, you got into cycling, that's dumb, or why'd you ever do something like that? Look at the money you spent on this bike and
Mm.
like home gym stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't let the negative comments get to you. You just got to do yourself.
Yes.
And,
What?
and one and once I got past that of people like me going for a run, if they seen me, I felt odd or bad about it. Because I was like, oh, what are they thinking about me now? What's wrong with him? Or.
Yep.
And I think once you get past that, and then yeah, just surround yourself with the people that enjoy doing the same thing.
Yes.
It just makes it so much easier.
Yes. Yeah. Having the group of
You,
support, man, it's huge.
you know,
What was that when you started with me originally? You were a big dude. You had a
yeah,
big gut. You had never really done
yeah,
much of working out. Were really raw at stuff.
yeah,
We got you a set of dumbbells. Really was kind of what you started with. What was
yeah,
that? That mindset shift, even from you. You started with me. You did a little bit. You did like a Kickstart program. We did.
yeah,
You had
yeah,
good results, but then you even went and you started all this running on your own, and you lost a ton of weight. You took a lot of things you learned with me, and you lost a ton of weight. What was that mindset switch in that area where you're like, you just started doing these things and holding
Well,
accountable?
so it's kind of the company I worked for, they every year did a checkup in the basement. Nurses came, whatever. And from that, they drew blood and everything there. And they're like, you're going to the doctor. Because
Mm.
like my blood sugar was like 850.
Oh, geez.
And
Yeah.
I mean, they were gonna like take my CDL license and everything. Because
Man.
they said, what, you're like, are you gonna have a heart attack on us or what? Because blood
Yeah.
pressure was everything was just. And I got thinking back to the first time I worked with you, and then, yeah, like my brother-in-law dying at 37, and, my dad dying young, and, high school classmates dying young. And it's like, it's got to change, it's just got to change. And I've always followed you on Facebook and listened to stuff, and it was just, yeah, just listen to somebody else, for a little motivation, and it worked.
Yeah.
But then it was just, let's go to the next level now. Let's get your strength back and change, and
There was a little bit of fear at first with the checkup. You had the awakening, and then it was
yeah,
it's just kind of continued to kick off, and then you saw what you could do for yourself, and that went to the next level. I love that. I love that. But I mean,
yeah.
here's the thing. We want to try to and obviously everybody in this room, it's not really being targeted toward anybody in here because you guys are all here. But for the people generically, it's like, man, we want to take care of ourselves before we ever get the diagnosis, and but unfortunately, that is the piece that wakes most of us up. And it's just, that's okay too, as long as we and continue to just really challenge ourselves that way.
And what's crazy too is, like I don't do it every like Thursday night, but
Yeah.
just going to these run clubs that are in the area and stuff. I mean, it's kind of awkward going there and you don't know anyone,
Yeah.
but by the time you do your hour run with them or two, whatever it is, or whatever you want to do, it's just a whole different feeling of everyone's on the same page. Everyone, no one bashes you or anything. If it takes you 15 minutes to run that mile, they don't care,
Yeah.
everyone's out there just to support everyone, and I think stepping out of my comfort zone and finding some of these groups and stuff like in Sioux Falls and stuff like that, that's helped me a lot over the last while too,
Awesome. So I've heard that. I've heard the support in the community from both of you guys now, how big that was. So dude, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just so glad you've been crushing it and getting the results. So Zoom user. Adam's on here. I think Adam's Zoom user. If you want to jump off, I'd love to hear. You've been rocking it for a while. So I know you have, like these other two guys, have some experience with just progressing and getting progress, but also fighting to get to the next level. That's kind of been your lately. Adam, I'd love to hear some of that from you if you want to share.
So yeah, I bought a lot of your supplements and stuff offline. I had a couple chats briefly here and there about things, and then like probably a couple of the other fellas said, I followed you on Facebook. Obviously, I knew you from the hometown and stuff like that, even though we graduated a few years apart from each other. But
yeah,
and my health. I don't say this a lot to make a big deal or point it out to myself because it's easy to do, but I'm a 4'2" dwarf. I mean, dwarves have a hard time losing weight just by the way they're built. I mean, we're built with the average torso, the average, shoulder width, all that stuff, the hips, the butt, all that crap. But we got a big head, short arms, short legs, and so when you got extra weight, it's hard to get off. I was a skinny kid all my high school days, even through college and all this other stuff. And then I decided to quit smoking when my kid turned not even one, and I went from about 150 pounds in 08 to about 210 in a matter of about 3 months. Lost it over a couple of years, then got back to it, and I realized I just couldn't do a damn thing with my kids anymore. And I had 2 kids by this time, so that's when I called you end of 23, I think it was. And I think I told you I needed to get this done by here's what I wanted to do before I turned 50. We didn't quite lose the weight all I wanted. I think we ended up about 6 pounds shy, but you gave me a hell of a run for my money.
What was the total of that again? It was like 60 pounds, 40 pounds?
No, it was, I weighed 203 when I called you, and I got down to like 159, 158.
Right. Yes.
So, I mean, we were off. And then sadly, I bailed off you in August for whatever stupid reason. Put about 15 back on, called you back up, said, all right, enough's enough. And I've been with you ever since.
Corruption.
And so, yeah, just like anybody who's on here, it's, I appreciate Alan's story. The people have kind of asked me, well, geez, why are you sticking to this program? Why are you so watching your food? Why are you doing this? Because I have to, or I'm not going to be around. I lost my mom at 47 years old, my dad at 58. They'd never met either one of my kids, and I wasn't going to be that. Both my parents passed away of cancer. And I looked at myself in the mirror and said, even though you don't have cancer, but you're going to have something going on. Blood sugar, blood pressure, heart attack, diabetes, whatever. Enough's enough. And so that's when I got a hold of you, and I've done it all. And I've had a lot of people at work, even kind of ask me about it. I've threw your name out there, Mr. Jordan. Yes, I have.
Well, thank you.
But they're just curious of how I did it. And I just said, it's not hard. But like Alan said, he rode his bike for that first mile, pushed it back.
Yeah.
I've told you the story. I got a few things in my gym in my basement. On the first week or two, I laid on the floor going, shit, am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah.
And then when I started seeing the scale numbers decline and decline and decline, the more stuff I bought, the more stuff I wanted to do, the more I asked for you to push and challenge and let's go. And now it's just like an everyday norm. I think my last look at it, I was a 120-day streak.
Yeah.
And I think today I hit today 790 workouts.
Crazy.
So
say 100. Let's go.
It's just my normal thing. I'm a pretty straight and narrow guy. I don't like to be thrown off course, even though with the job that I'm in as a manager of a department at a factory, I got to be ready for the unexpected.
Yeah.
But with my health and fitness, I stay coursed every day. I'm down in my gym every morning at 5:30, ended at 6:30, get the kid ready for school, and I'm out the door. So
yeah, so that's what I'm hearing from you, man, is that routine keeps you on course. And so everybody knows too, like arising to challenge and being different. I made Adam actually join a gym, which obviously if you're 4 foot, like you said, going and joining a gym is a struggle because stuff is not made for his size.
Nope.
And I actually made him go do that for a while because I wanted him to get out of a comfort zone and do something different. And there was times where he was mad at me. He was mad at me for doing it different and putting up with that. And he had to put up with that for a while, but we did it until, we got his home gym set up. But there was reasons behind that. It was for more than just the workouts. It's for, we had to always remember that point of view of why do we need certain challenges? Why do we need different areas in our life and different comfort zones? Why are we doing these things and getting out of our comfort areas? So Adam, thank you so much for sharing that, man.
Just let me add one more thing. So I don't talk a lot about meal prep and stuff like that. But I think that's the number one thing, Jordan, that piece of paper that you sent me with the macro numbers. I think that's the number one thing other than the workouts and the other stuff. But I meal prep every other weekend. My wife works every other weekend. So on the weekend she works, I meal prep for 2 weeks. And 90% of it's sheet pan cooking, just like Renee does. Yeah. My carbs, my veggies, my proteins, it's all sheet panned. And when it's done, it gets cut up and put into either freezer bags or I throw meals together. And that, to me, I get it. I spend probably 6-7 hours on a Saturday to do it. Wintertime, it's great because it's cold and crappy out. But that, to me, is a time saver during the week that I can spend with the kids. And it's great.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
That you have. It's amazing. I'd love to, if Lamar, if you wouldn't mind jumping off mute, I just see you down there. And Lamar, always, I'm kind of catching you so off guard here, but if you have any little piece of wisdom, Lamar is filled with wisdom, you guys. And if you wouldn't mind just sharing anything that you're like, hey, this has been some stuff that I've learned or some things that really work well for me. I'd love to just hear anything that you have, man. You're still on mute though. So if you go bottom left, there you go.
Let's see. How about now?
You got it. Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yep. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Well, that I like being put on the spot, Jordan. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So, but I'm going to go back to a thing that a couple of guys said too. I had a couple of years ago, I had reached out to a gentleman that I found, and I was going to join him, and then it just didn't sound like a good fit. So I tried to do things on my own, and I've had 2 knee replacement surgeries in the last 2 Decembers. So I was struggling to, do anything of significance. And, I ballooned up to 270 pounds in March of last year. So I reached out to Jordan. We had a nice conversation. We did things, and now I think my weigh-in on Monday morning was 231. I think the lowest I'd gotten down to was 2 weeks ago when I was at 229. But I think I'm going to echo what everybody else says. The meal stuff, I don't prep my meals as much. I just eat the same meal every day for breakfast and every day for lunch because
Let's go.
boredom is repetition, so to speak. So it makes it easy for me. I know exactly what I'm going to do every day. And then when my wife feels like cooking, she makes us, healthier meals and whatever else. But I think again, what caught my eye about Jordan was he was approachable in his video. The one that I saw, the reason you're not losing your man boobs is because of this. And he went into a little bit of deal, and I thought, this guy's relatable. He's not a used car salesman. So I thought, so I reached out to him. We had a great conversation. And then I got on the program. And then when I had my knee surgery in December, we suspended my deal for a while. I still tracked all my food, and I actually lost weight, even though I wasn't exercising, so to speak. And now I'm back on track again, and I feel so much better, like everybody else says. It's amazing what happens. But the one thing I told Jordan in one of our conversations, and I tell this to everybody because I've yo-yo dieted all my life, and I've helped people with the same thing, is we didn't gain it overnight. We're not going to lose it overnight, and just win the day. Because if you got to win the day before you can win the next day. It's like we always used to say in fast pitch softball. You can't win the second game if you don't win the first game.
Yes.
So, that's what I always tell everybody, hey, you didn't gain it overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight. And the comment was made earlier. I believe it was a gentleman. I apologize for you missing your name. But, people, we always go to the gym and think people are looking at us and this and that, and the guy always told me, he said, don't worry. He said, they're not worried what you're doing. They're trying to figure out what they're doing. So don't feel like people are watching you. They might glance your way, but they're not judging. They're just looking around like everybody else is.
Yes.
So,
So true.
Thank
you so much.
I guess does that make sense, Jordan, and everybody else?
I always love your analogies, and I love how you share things, man. So I appreciate you jumping on too and just sharing a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad I could.
Awesome.
Hopefully it resonates with people.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you guys, we're at about 30 minutes here. And so I want to do another one of these in the future for sure. I want to keep just hearing what is working for each one of you guys, so we can share it with each other here and have you can take things. But just quick review. What I hear tonight, the big standouts. Community matters. Other people in your life matter. Levi and Alan both shared that. And then consistency. Both Lamar and Adam said that piece of, hey, sometimes this boredom, this repetition on a couple of those meals is okay. You know what I mean? It gives you actually more freedom for like evening meals by doing that. And so that's what I'm really hearing. It's just like all those pieces of alignment, how much they matter. So thank you guys so much for jumping on the call. I'll post up this recording if you need it, or if you need to share it with somebody. And we will meet again on the next VIP call. So appreciate you guys spending some time with me on the Wednesday night. Let's crush the rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you. Later.
Bye.